Did you catch the score of the Iron Bowl today? Which
No, sir.
Potentially impacts where you guys go in the postseason.
That sound like rat poison to me. I got to focus on Baylor this week.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
Welcome back. We are here. It is time for another edition of the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast. Carey Murdoch, Eddie Radosevich, Bob Prisbillo is with us, and we are just back from Stillwater, America, where the Sooners have defeated the Cowboys in Bedlam 34-16. It was not an easy victory, but not a difficult victory. And guys, I think, Bob, you wrote about it in your postgame. Let's start there. Kennedy Brooks defeats Chuba Hubbard.
It's not that simple, but yeah, I mean, that was a huge storyline going in. We all knew Chuba needed 168 to get to
But it wasn't a storyline.
Yards.
Like, nobody said, oh, how's Kennedy Brooks going to match up with Chuba Hubbard?
Yeah, Chuba was the storyline heading into the game, and it's Brooks that we're all talking coming after. The way he was just so steady, so consistent. It wasn't like he had that big run. His longest run of the day was 18 yards. That's how efficient he was throughout the entire night.
But he averages 7.3 yards per carry. And it really was, it was hovering at 8 and above, but they kind of rode him to close out the game at the end when they were, basically selling out to stop him in his average. But he and Chuba Hubbard, essentially the same number of carries. Chuba ends up with 24, Brooks 22, but Kennedy Brooks has 160 yards to Chuba's 104. They both have a touchdown. And Chuba, I never would have guessed this going in, Eddie. He averages 4.3 yards a carry.
OU was really good. I mean, they never really got him loose. In the first quarter, I guess it was
22 was his longest.
It was 22 yards on the left side over there on the Oklahoma State sideline. Outside of that, though, Oklahoma was dominant tonight, and it was the complete game I think that a lot of people have been looking for, just as far as both sides of the ball. Offensively, I thought in the third and fourth quarter specifically, they kind of fed off the defense again, in that they were able to play physically up front, and you saw an offensive line that once again in the month of November is starting to really kind of become the face of the program, if you will, just as far as they can turn around, and they were running at will against Oklahoma State on Saturday night, and it was in a way, it's kind of a beautiful thing to watch them operate in close games and just kind of take the will out of teams. I thought, Bob, you talked to Adrian Ely after the game. I was over with some other of the defensive guys, but it seemed like anytime that they needed 3 yards, they got 4 yards. Exactly. Anytime they needed 12 yards, they'd get 13 yards. It was...
And if they got third and long, Jalen Hurts would come up with a pass completion.
Yeah, and it was a dominant performance. I don't think there's any other way to say it than the only thing that you left out there tonight was a Ramondre Stevenson 29-yard touchdown run that would have made it 41-16.
24 yards?
24,
or was it 29, 24?
24,
okay.
Yeah.
He had the 29-yarder before that, I think, is what I was thinking of.
45-yarder, then a 29-yarder that would have been a touchdown, and then you think he had a 15 after that.
I mean, that was almost a little embarrassing for Oklahoma State. OU's just trying to run out the clock, and Ramondre Stevenson's coming out there.
Stillwater a lot, though. Remember
Trey Sermon.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
No doubt about it.
I think Chris Brown did it, too.
From a impressive standpoint, though, that was probably what Oklahoma fans have been looking for the last couple of weeks, and it was it was pretty impressive the way they were able to go about doing that. And on to the next one, Big 12 championship, and then who knows, guys? I think that we can officially say that Oklahoma is in the hunt to get back into the college football playoff. If you weren't always already
condense an entire
believing.
show into like 30 minutes in like 5 Are you trying to do like a 45-minute show in 5 minutes?
Yes,
Is this like the YouTube edition of the Eskridge Lexus postgame?
Oh, no.
Are you going to rattle off every topic that we have?
Let me yell a little bit, and then we can put it on YouTube.
To get back to Chuba, 8 carries, 25 yards in the second half.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Incredible.
And one really big play. They had a couple of turnovers on downs, but the biggest one, it was 4th and would you call it a yard? Would you call it inches?
Yeah,
they give
close.
it to Chuba and they stuff it.
Benito stoned him.
Oh, it was unbelievable to see that defense come out and play like that. And Lincoln talked about defending Chuba Hubbard after the game.
Yeah, I thought he had a little bit of room early. Made a few adjustments, settled in a little bit, fit the run a little bit better as the game went on. Thought the D-line was, again, pretty disruptive. There wasn't too many, clean running lanes, especially after that first quarter. And and then a few times he did get loose. We did a good job of getting him on the ground, and we didn't let him. He didn't pop his long was a 22. And he told us that for the game. We'd have taken it.
And here was quarterback Jalen Hurts talking about what the defense meant to the performance and the win last night.
Something like that.
Something.
I think they played a heck of a game. I think Piedmont showed up and made some plays consistently out through the game. Showed he's one of the better cornerbacks in the country. I just think everybody we played good complementary football today.
And see, Eddie Radosevich, that's how you segue into another segment.
I liked how
Parnell Motley.
Anybody that listens to Lincoln Riley's press conference is going to be like, what the hell was going on in there? It was the
locker room.
It was the visiting locker room
yeah.
that had the music. Like, it was
Thumping.
literally shaking the room.
Absolutely.
What did they bring? Like you can't,
it was like that before the game,
There's not
too.
a boom box like that you can just bring and set in there.
That's a good point. I have no idea.
Like they literally set up a professional DJ sound system in that visiting locker
That's
room.
not DJ VJ or whatever the hell his name is. I censored myself. You should be happy about that.
It's 3 a.m.
There you go.
Thank you. So yeah, I mean Parnell Motley, holy shit. What a performance by him tonight.
What a reversal. 2 years ago, benched in this game on that field. What he did tonight.
Best defensive back performance since
I think you got to go like Derek Strait.
Wow.
Nebraska 2000.
Wow.
Well, no, Roy Williams, 2001, the Red River rivalry. I mean, Superman, come on. Although the Arkansas Bowl game that year was an even later dominant performance. I don't know, Tony Jefferson, I think, had 3 picks in a game against Ball State.
I was going to say, what determines it? Because if you're looking at numbers.
Sorry, T-Jeff.
Tony's game.
Don't mean to forget you.
In a way, though, I mean, defensively, and Motley was great, don't get me wrong, but is it fair to say, like, that's what you should do against a backup quarterback?
But it was a dominant performance.
No, it was. It was.
By a quarterback.
Oh, I mean, listen, how many times did we come into the studio or do it on the road last year and Zeb Nolan had thrown for 300 yards or insert bullshit secondary quarterback in the conference?
Remember what a celebration it was when Jet Duffy got shut down by the defense, and everybody was like, "Jet Duffy sucks. He can't play football at all." But it was impressive to watch them make a quarterback look average for the first time.
No, and I think that is a sign that this team is getting better, that this defense is getting better. Hell, I'll even throw out there guys like Nick Benito and David Awegbu that, for freshmen, it seems like they're starting to come on a little bit.
But it was different with Motley because you got on Jaden Davis a couple times. You got penalties on Trey Brown. Motley was just in a different zone tonight than he's ever been in.
And every time the ball went up in his direction, it was like it was his.
Yes.
Like it was like he was just floating out there behind the receiver, just waiting for the ball to come down to him. I was surprised he didn't get a pick that way. But I'm not sure. I want to go back and watch the TV replay.
I have had multiple text messages from family members, from friends that basically said what Josh told us in the DM group was Blaine Dino was like, I don't know how you
can't overturn it.
I mean, it's an overturning of a call. Like, you have to have irrefutable evidence to say that call was not right on the field. The way that it was called was not correct. I don't believe that I can say that you had irrefutable evidence after a couple of the angles I saw.
No, I have no idea. And OU has had their fair share of. I don't think there's a conspiracy. Believe me.
And like Reggie Smith, by the way, the head ref, the guy that sounds like Obama, maybe that's why people hate him so much.
Because he's black, because he sounds like Obama.
Because he sounds like Obama, and screw you, Obama.
Yeah,
you know. But like he's not in charge of making that decision. That's a booth replay. Am I British? A booth replay situation. He has no say in whether that call is overturned.
Is he able though to say that's not how I see it? I guess I always kind of space out during the rules
because they do get into the headset with those people. But I think he's allowed to say, well, what about this or what about that? But there was only one camera angle of all the ones they showed us, that made it look like his foot was out of bounds.
And I didn't
without
see it.
doubt.
If that's a pick, it's 24-7, and it gets bad in a hurry. Instead, it was 17-10, and it gave Cowboys life throughout the rest of the first half.
It could have been a disastrous deal. But here's Lincoln Riley talking about the big night, and I asked him about just that performance overall and how it was one of the more impressive ones I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and did it against good receivers in a big time environment. Yeah, he was awesome. I mean the pick, the strip, tackled well, covered well. They went at him with a lot of double moves, and he was in great position. I thought he really trusted his technique. Really throughout the entire game. Made a lot of big plays. They gave him a lot of opportunities, and he certainly responded. You could tell he wanted the ball thrown his way tonight, and that's how. That's what we've been pressing upon our guys. That's how you have to play that position. I mean, that's how you have to play any position. If you don't want the ball your way or don't want a chance to make the play or to block, then you're not the right guy to be out there. And he wanted it coming his way tonight and was ready and trusted his technique and made a lot of huge plays.
How happy were you to see him get that last interception that might have been a little bit of a payback for him?
No, it was. It was fitting. It was fitting because he made such a great play on the other one. And you couldn't tell on the other one. The replay certainly in the stadium looked like there was green in between his feet, but I don't know. I'm sure in the booth there they had some different looks for them to overturn it. It must have been pretty conclusive. So it was great for him to make it, and very fitting for the kind of night he's had. And really, he's been, very steady for us all year.
And like you guys said, Jaden Davis has had his issues. Trey Brown, although Trey Brown, I think, he gets a passing grade today. He had some nice pass breakups, especially over the middle.
Jaden Davis had the one missed tackle, but outside of that, he did have a couple tackles there early that I thought kind of slowed everything down because it seemed like Oklahoma State was starting to get rolling there.
I thought Buki
I think
had
it was
a
the
good
second
night.
or third. Hey, Buki got beat a couple times, but he popped a couple guys, and that's all you can really ask from the guy.
He led the team in tackles. That's got to be a first for him.
That's shocking to me. I didn't realize that.
But, overall, Delarian Turner-Yell had a couple of just what the F
How do you have a
moments.
face mask in the middle of the field?
Yeah, just
I never
grabbing
saw
at a guy.
replay.
Did he? I didn't either.
We've never seen a replay.
I don't think they showed one on
We've
TV.
never seen that because they threw a deep ball where Motley was in good position, and then all of a sudden we find out personal foul face mask, and then Trey Brown got the penalty the very next play. It was just like giving them the entire field penalty yards.
But between Motley's play and the defensive line, I thought, I saw some good things from Ronnie Perkins. But Bob, I know the youngsters were the guys that really impressed you the most.
It was. I mean, David Agwebu was in there like crazy. It was like, Benito started this game. Where did he go? And it just worked out well in the second half. Just kept going, rotating in and out. Agwebu, fourth down stop. Benito, fourth down stop. This is what you want to see, and it's just kind of hard to believe. They're both freshmen, and could they make that leap after John Michael Terry went down? If they play like that, geez, the whole setting the edge on the defense has been such a concern the last couple months.
And Agwebu, man, he is so not ready for this physically, and he's making all these plays. Like, he is going to be a monster one of these days. Like,
he has all the
potential
tools.
first-round draft pick. Like, if you can say what youngster on this team is the next freak, I think it's Agwebu, without a doubt.
I don't think that's crazy at all. Yeah. I mean, he's just so long.
Yeah. I mean, he's not physically mature like Ronnie Perkins is.
No. Ronnie Perkins is... They haven't had a Ronnie Perkins down there in a while. I think it's fair to say that.
Well, and I'll say this. I'm still wondering where Caleb Kelly fits in on the defense after tonight.
Yeah, it's going to take. I think it's one of those things that it's just going to take some time for him to find his kind of find his legs, if you will, again.
It's a new defense to him.
It's very obvious that he does not like wearing that. I mean, he's even talked about it. He does not like wearing that brace, and I don't know if that's the situation that they end up letting him get out of the brace at some point when his knee gets fully healed, I guess. I don't know. It just seems like that's something that he's still kind of fighting a little bit as far as running around. But, you know, I thought it kind of goes back to what Oklahoma has been unable to do in recent years defensively, and is you don't have to get stops every time. You don't have to get 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. If you hold guys to a field goal, if you hold teams to a field goal, and I thought it was really important that they did that at times in the first half, that you can get away with it. And it's okay to give up some points. Teams are going to score points in 2019. That's just the way that shit works in college football nowadays. Yeah. Look in Auburn, Alabama today, what happened. I mean, people are going to score points, but if you can trade those 7 and 6s for 3s, it makes everybody's life so much easier. And then you throw in a couple turnovers, and it just, everything is so much easier.
I think it's interesting because the first play of the game, Lincoln Riley runs Kennedy Brooks, and that's kind of set the tone. They get the ball to start the game. He runs Kennedy Brooks. They get their offense going. What was their first drive? 4 plays, 75 yards.
Yeah, it was boom, boom, boom. And I thought the Nick Basquin catch on the sideline, I thought was one of the best plays all night that nobody will ever talk about.
What's really strange is, I mean, you have all this I don't know, turmoil around the team because of turnovers, and why haven't they been able to win games more convincingly when they played better?
Has there been turmoil, though?
I think there has been. I think there's been confusion.
Sure.
I would say maybe that's a better
frustration,
word than turmoil.
maybe?
A little bit of frustration. But like you watch this team tonight, Lincoln Riley made some really good decisions. And Nick Basquin, the touchdown pass he threw, like
perfect. Coming out of a timeout.
It wasn't perfect, though. Like, he made that play happen. It could have been a mess. It could have been really ugly. Like, he was being converged on it. He realized this is not going well. But, there's Jalen Hurts, and no one is within 20 yards. Let me just lob this MFer up in the air.
And I was able
20 yards is like a 5-yard touchdown.
No, but he was at like the 20.
Was he?
By the time he got it to Lamb,
I couldn't tell that.
Then to
Basquin,
and Nick's like, because there's so much pressure coming at me.
No, that was like a 30-yard pass.
Yeah,
was it really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because he's throwing it to the other side of the field, too. He was able to relax because the pressure was coming. So instead of trying to think about how he's going to get this ball to a wide open Hurts, he just had to go on instinct, and it actually made the play a lot easier.
But guys, I mean, Jalen Hurts ran 16 times tonight, and some of those were not designed. I mean, some of those were just scrambled. And you did see him stand in the pocket a little bit more, sometimes to his detriment, but I think you just need to go through that if you're Jalen Hurts. You do need to get sacked sometimes. It's better for him to stand there and try and find receivers down the field than it is to keep taking off time and time again. But this whole thing that started with Mike Gundy, talking about, being a one-man show, the wishbone. I mean, Lincoln Riley was asked about that. I'm glad he finally addressed that. But he was kind of just asked about his thoughts on what Mike Gundy had to say, if he heard those comments, and if he had any comments.
A comment for the comment.
Yeah, I didn't agree a whole lot with the one-man show thing, but that's, however we get defined, as long as, as we're winning and offensively we're scoring enough points to win, that's all I care. I think, our quarterbacks have been successful over the last several years. Jalen's no different, but we've, you look at what our other players have done, O-line, running backs, tight ends. We've won a Blitnikoff, Mackey. We've had an All-American receiver, tight end every single year that we've been here. We've got a litter of offensive linemen playing in the NFL with more to go. So, we got a good group. All these guys contribute to it. It's certainly not a one-man show. The wishbone comment, I took that as a complete compliment. I think it's one of the great offenses ever. It means you're spreading the ball around, you're physical, getting your playmakers the ball in space and letting them play. So I thought he was spot on.
So have we put that to bed?
Yeah, I think
so.
If Mike Gundy was trying to play mind games, it didn't work.
No, I mean...
Because Kennedy Brooks came out and...
He ran the ball down their throats.
Ran it down your throats and out-dueled your own Chuba Hubbard.
Had to be frustrating. I know we talked about it a little bit on the way home, just as far as the Oklahoma State fan base, but to be outmanned, outcoached, out-physicaled to that extent tonight had to have been frustrating up there. You could sense it. You could sense it in the stands as well.
You had one moment.
There was a mass exodus after they stopped him on the fourth down.
As an OSU fan, there was. You had one moment in time where you felt like this might be our night, and that was before halftime. You score, you make it a 10-point game, you get the ball coming out. Or was it a 7-point game?
It was a 7 because they held them to a field goal right
because
before
they had
halftime.
like a 5-minute drive to end the first half, and then they got the ball to start the second half.
So,
Ronnie Perkins comes up, and
20 to 13.
The play that nobody talks about is the Kenneth Murray stop at the 3-yard line on the pass because Jaden Davis had jumped it.
He tried to go for the ball, and he missed that, and Murray needed to make that tackle.
And then you had the false start that backed him up
back to the 8-yard
and then
line.
Inexplicably
try to run Chuba.
They try to run Chuba up the middle, which I guess in hindsight, when it doesn't work, you say, "Oh, that was asinine. Why'd they do
Chuba
that?"
Hubbard, yeah.
But if you pass the ball there, you probably say, "Why didn't you give the ball to your best player?"
You know they did third down runs with Chuba like that last year, and it worked every single time.
You know, I thought had to have flashed before Mike Gundy's mind right there is, and I want to get it right. I think it was Rudolph, though. But who threw the interception right on like the 2-yard line? And it would have been 20.
The one that Okoronkwo got?
I want to say, yeah.
I want to say like that
was that Rudolph?
It would have been Rudolph.
Or would it have been Shelf?
When Kenneth Mann hit him? Like, I'm not sure which.
Is this the Blake Bell game?
I don't know which play you're asking.
I don't think so.
No, it would have been after that, yeah.
I'm talking about the interception in the end zone when Oklahoma State was driving in.
And was that the one where the cheerleader kicked Eric Stryker?
That was 2013.
Okay. Yeah, that was
after.
It
was either 15 or 17. I can't remember. I don't think it was 13.
Will Johnson?
Yeah, I think it was Will Johnson.
Interception in the end zone in 2017?
No, I think it might have been 2017. I don't know. Either way, I thought that's what kind of went through Gundy's mind was we have to get points at some point here. Don't make any bad decisions in which you end up after a 5-minute drive and don't get anything. So that I can understand why they gave the ball to Hubbard, but I mean it's here nor there. I don't think it really would have mattered.
No, and their defense was just fantastic. By the way, I'm gonna give it up because every damn game, you know who surprises me? You probably all know who surprised. I mean, like I think I can't be surprised anymore. Yet he just continues to surprise me.
Gabe Burkich.
Gabe Burkich. Thank you for reading my mind.
You shouldn't be surprised anymore. The dude got the sauce.
He's unbelievable.
I thought him and the Matt Amendola, it was a 42 and a 43-yarder. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Those are two of the best kicks I've seen in person in my entire life.
Did you see how close the Amendola
that would have been
was
good from 44?
Yeah.
No.
It was unbelievable. It barely crossed it.
It
was
not
one of
been
those,
good.
like when you're a kid and you want to see if you can punt a ball behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what it looked like. It started off, and then it just started boomeranging back toward him. Like, it was not an impressive kick.
Did not know if it had in the leg.
It was impressive. I don't
to
think,
make it in that wind, yeah, that's
unless you were there tonight, I don't think it can be described. I mean, unless you live in Oklahoma and you just step outside.
Yeah.
But the
Burkich
wind
was knocking it out of both ends of the end zone.
I thought that was the most interesting part is he was doing it into the wind as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just tells me that I don't know why they don't try and kick the ball out of the goddamn end zone every single time. He can do it. He has the leg to do it.
They've got a decent coverage team, though. I mean, the one time they tried to bring it out, they got him at the 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Not one time, but one time when they did, they got him like at the 15.
If you really want to take anything out of this team right now or gripe about anything the way that they played, I guess you could take it as far as the Trey Brown return game. is probably not the best that it's ever been. But
Bob has almost got to the point where he's begging for them to kick it to TJ Pledger.
He looked good last week.
He
He had
did.
2 chances. Both of them were 30-yard returns, put them in much better spot.
Okay, I think we've broken down a lot of the highlights of the game so far, so it's time for us to do this.
Eskridge Lexus is all about embracing the best. That's why they are the official travel partner of the Soonerscoop.com podcasts. So it's time for us to recognize the Sooners' best with our Eskridge Lexus Player of the Game.
All right, it's going to be a tough one, although it's really not that tough. I mean, I think we know that Kennedy Brooks was the savior tonight for Oklahoma. A lot of other people have stepped up, although you guys want to make a case for Parnell Motley.
I will definitely make that. Mondays with Motley, I will make that case for Motley. The way he turned that game with that strip recovery, got the defense relaxed and play with their hair on fire all at the same time, and it just set the tone for what that night was going to be. They were so close on like 4 or 5 different turnovers, but they were of that mindset of attacking the ball.
it's amazing what happens when you don't turn the ball over yourself.
Yeah. You actually get credit for all the good stuff you do in a game and no blame. And then you forced other teams to kick field goals or just 3-and-outs. And that was one thing I was saying, the Oklahoma State, they had a good feeling because they were only down by 7. They were getting the ball back, and then the defense comes out and gets a 3-and-out like out of nowhere. Of course, didn't really help because then OU got 3-and-out when they got the ball. But it allowed that game to kind of settle in the second half.
Well, I think just overall even, it's just there's so much confidence in the defense right now that they can force a 3-and-out, or when Oklahoma does go 3-and-out, they can get the ball right back.
Here, the only stat I didn't bring up in all the stories I wrote, Cowboys, 5-7 third down, first half. 0 of 5, 0 of 3 on fourth down.
Amazing.
No conversions in the second half.
That's amazing. That defense, that's become a second-half defense, Baylor. Now Oklahoma State.
Well, to hold Chuba Hubbard to 25 yards in the second half is just...
He did not break the 2,000-yard barrier in the regular season because of the Sooners.
Yeah, and I don't know if he will. I mean, if I was given advice, I'd tell him to sit out of the bowl game. There's no reason to play.
Especially if you go to the Camping World Bowl.
Yeah, come on. Who has a better bowl destination, Oklahoma State or Texas?
Texas, because they're not going to go to Orlando in that shit stadium. I'd rather go to the Cheez-It Bowl. I mean, at least you go to Arizona.
Yeah, it'd be good for Tom Herman to build some character out in Orlando.
I agree.
With all those families. He'd probably just try and ruin a bunch of people's families.
I don't even know what that means. All right. God damn you, Eddie. You're making me do another...
Awkward.
I think Ed Eskridge would appreciate...
Ed expects no different, I guess.
I think he would appreciate our disdain for Tom Herman.
No comment. I don't think you speak for Ed Eskridge. All right?
I'm not. I'm just saying that. I mean, Tom Herman's a very unlikable person. Go ahead.
Okay. Eskridge Lexus, great travel partner of ours. They give us a car to take to road games, and I'm telling you, we're experts on the Eskridge Lexus lineup because we've driven a lot of them around. But if you're looking for a sedan, a sports car, SUV, and you want to enjoy your trip, there's no better way to do it than in a Lexus. I've owned one for over 10 years now. But love the ES models. If you're a big time spender, the LS is great. If you want an SUV, the RXs are fantastic. We've had several of those, and we've even taken the NX recently, which is the smaller version. Really great car. Eddie had plenty of room in the back. We had plenty of room for our gear. It was just a little bit smaller of a version of the RX. So all the luxury features, had the cruise control with the radar detection and the lane detection and all that. It's just, they're unbelievable cars. You got to go get a test drive at Eskridge Lexus. Go to eskridgelexus.com or give them a call. Their main sales number, 405-351-6422. Ask to talk to Ed and tell him you're a Sooner Scoop podcast listener or Sooner Scoop subscriber, and he'll do a special deal. I know we've had some folks recently go out and look at Eskridge Lexus and decided that was the car for them. So we think if you do the same thing and you're in the market for one, you will definitely get there. And I've done service with them for many years. Great service department. They take care of you. So can't recommend Eskridge Lexus anymore, and the great sponsor of the podcast too. Okay, so we move on. Baylor, round 2, Arlington, Texas. Eddie just came back from there yesterday. My God, you've been traveling. I don't know. I mean, this is going to be interesting. I mean,
Bears look good today.
Bears look great today against Kansas. They're going to be fired up for this one. Matt Rule is one hell of a coach.
Is this biggest game in Baylor history?
I would say that TCU Thanksgiving game that had
the 63-60 game or whatever.
But that was in the middle of October. That's the same day as OU Texas.
That should be because then they moved it because they
moved it the next year to try to make it a big game, and it didn't pan out.
That game should be barred from history.
Yeah, this late in the season,
Art Briles is allowing rape all over the campus.
Yeah, it should be redacted.
It's gonna be a fun atmosphere. I mean, obviously, I don't know how many people Baylor will bring to Jerry World, but I mean, it's gonna.
Not that far.
There'll be a bunch of Oklahoma fans possibly playing for. And the most exciting thing about it is with
no
the Pac-12
Baylor line.
That too, but with the Pac-12 game being played on Friday,
right,
Oklahoma's going to kind of know what the count is, what
or
the lineup
how impressive
is.
You need to be.
Sure, that'd be awesome if they need to go win by 60, and Riley's out there kicking onsides in the fourth quarter if OU's up. That'd be badass. No, I don't think that it's going to come to that though, because I do think that it will be a game that I think Oklahoma's going to they're going to have to play really well. I think Baylor's a really good football team.
And Baylor's going to be 7. I think it's going to be 6 versus 7 because they'll jump Alabama. They'll jump Minnesota. Yep. I don't think Wisconsin will jump them.
No.
So it'll be 6 versus 7 when it's all said and done.
Unless it's 5 versus 7.
True.
I don't think the committee can move OU above Utah because you're kind of making a statement there. You could. I mean, maybe they feel like OU, now that they've beaten Oklahoma State on the road.
Well, it was Oklahoma's most, as much as they talk about complete teams and complete performances,
win,
it was the most complete performance OU's had all year.
Against a better team than anybody Utah's beat, I would
Utah,
say.
What was the final
better
score
than
of that
USC's
Colorado
their
game
best
today?
win.
They didn't win.
Or they lost to USC.
That's
their best win is what then?
They don't have one.
Yeah,
BYU?
They don't have one.
They don't have a ranked win.
I think the stat of the day was probably the fact that Illinois will finish the season with more top 25 victories than Alabama. And I'm pretty sure, did Illinois get beat by Northwestern today in Champaign? Which, if you get beat by Northwestern in football, you should possibly think about disbanding your football program for at least a year.
You could almost say the same thing about South Carolina, though, right now.
Yeah. Was the final
Georgia.
45-15 was the final of that Colorado that game against Colorado today for the Utes.
It's going to be really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of dominoes to fall. I mean, everybody's going to be glued to that college football rankings show
on
this
Tuesday
week.
night, even though you shouldn't. But
as long as they keep Jim Moore off it. Apparently, he's still saying stupid things.
God,
about Baylor this
he's
time
an idiot.
around.
It shouldn't trigger me. It shouldn't anger me, but it's shocking, I guess. Is the
I
best
still
way
haven't
to say
heard it yet.
Well, he just basically
cutting
said
up
that
clips.
Utah has been amazing, and then he brought up Baylor and Oklahoma, and he talked about the high-scoring, powered offenses that each team has.
Yeah, it's like Baylor's all flash.
It's like, okay, man.
Baylor is anything but flash.
It's just shocking.
Baylor literally has one of the most hard-hitting defenses I've seen in 5 years in this conference, in this league. Maybe longer than that. They're good, man. I mean, this is going to be it's kind of like we didn't know what was going to happen today. We thought, you could show up with the turnover machine like they have been and struggle. I mean, I legitimately thought Oklahoma State could win this game if things played out a certain way, because I thought Chuba Hubbard would have a really big day, and they were fantastic against him. I mean, so now we've got, what's bizarre about this matchup is you've got a game that these two have played before this, and it was a Jekyll and Hyde effort by both teams. Oklahoma was great in the second half. Baylor was terrible. Baylor was great in the first half. Oklahoma was terrible. So now you've got 4 more quarters. Like, who's going to be able to play great for 3 or 4 of those quarters?
What do you think the line will be? I think OU will probably be favored.
3.5. No,
I was going to say a little bit more.
It'll be more like 6.
I was going to say like 8.5.
Think that high, huh?
8.5. I don't know. I mean, that's just a guess. I think that
probably 7. Yeah. Now I'm thinking about it.
It's a great matchup for Oklahoma. Just as far as I think Mims will test Oklahoma a little bit. Charlie Brewer will test Oklahoma a little bit. I think we've all three agreed, or all three of us have agreed at some point that was one of the hardest hitting games that we've seen Oklahoma play in, and it's just it's going to be intriguing. Like, I think this is a better matchup than OU TCU in the first year of the restored Big 12. Maybe not as big as last year with OU Texas, but it's certainly on that same playing field as far as there's going to be a lot on the line Saturday morning in Arlington.
And what's really helped is the way Baylor has bounced back, because they won basically 24-3 against Texas before that last second touchdown. That meant
that's a good point, Bob.
Nothing. And then 61-6. This wasn't a team that was deflated by giving up a 25-point lead.
Well, and you know why I think that is the case is for 2 reasons. One, Matt Rhule is a hell of a football coach. He wasn't going to allow his team to do that, and they still had a lot to play for. And B, the other part of it, there's a lot of seniors on that Baylor team. There's a lot of guys that this will be their final chance to stick it to Oklahoma in a way. And, oh, by the way, also win some hardware because of it. So,
by the way, something that you said on the way home that I think resonated with me about this game, and it's just one little matchup, but R.J. Proctor really is playing really well.
Yeah, I thought he played well. I mean, there were multiple times that they ran to the left side, and it looked like R.J. Proctor was the one that was kind of keying everything.
And that was kind of, that was his first game, kind of replacing Swinson, where you're just like, can he do this?
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. They won the game. They obviously played really well in the second half. Of course, a lot's going to be made out of the fact that they didn't have CeeDee Lamb. I think a lot of OU fans will be like, "Oh, just wait and see. We'll have CeeDee Lamb this time."
Yeah.
They don't do anything with him now.
That's a good point. Like, I don't know how much CeeDee Lamb. Like, the best Jalen Hurts we've seen lately is the one without CeeDee Lamb in the second half against Baylor, as a passer at least.
It was also, I think that we all kind of agreed too that in Waco, it was one of those games that OU just wore them down so much. How many plays they run in the second half? It was an obnoxious number. It was like 60-something, wasn't it?
They're kind of doing that to everybody, though.
They are, but can you do that an entire game?
Yeah, but here's what you also notice is not only is the offense pounding the other team, but the defense is wearing offenses down, I think, a little bit. I mean, I thought they wore Oklahoma State down tonight. Their offensive line, Oklahoma wore them down.
Yeah. Well, it's just it's kind of. I was talking to somebody after the game up in the press box, just as far as I think there was no better example of recruiting well and how it pays off of going and getting highly ranked 4-star kids, going and getting your 5-star kids. Even though I can't think of one that made a difference on defense. I guess Buki in a way, but there was no better example of recruiting matters in college football. And that was kind of what you saw, a glaring disparity in recruiting rankings, I guess, for lack of a better term, than what you saw tonight in Stillwater, with Oklahoma being able to throw some guys out there on defense and finally starting to develop some guys on the defensive side of the ball.
What's crazy, though? Their defensive backfield blanketed OU's receivers all night.
Okay, I was going to ask you guys, so how much of that was Hurts just not letting it go? Because there were a couple times that I thought there's no way that they don't have a guy
I only remember
open.
a couple of times where Bob pointed out this guy is wide open. If Hurts missed this guy wide open.
The biggest one was Lamb for a touchdown where instead he hit Hall for like a 30-yard gain. Lamb was so open. Visibly pissed about it.
From my angle, you can see CeeDee Lamb like coming into the middle of the screen. And then, Jeremiah, they still got 30 yards.
30 yards.
They're OU's in a good situation right now. People are mad because they're not getting the ball and they're winning games and they're still competing for national championships.
Look, it's one game left. This whole Jalen Hurts thing has been interesting. I think it's probably caused a little bit of a riffle in the locker room between, receivers that expect to get the ball more, and there just haven't been as many passes this year, whether that's Rambo or Lee Morris or, Charles or CeeDee Lamb, whoever. Like, there's just not enough balls to go around the way this offense is playing right now.
Yeah, when you're going 11 plays, 93 yards, when you're starting to do that time-consuming stuff, that it's taken away from it. That first drive, 4 plays, 78 yards. Like, okay,
but you look at that like
what we know.
This is why OU did what they did tonight. Like, Oklahoma State was playing that 3-man front umbrella coverage all night long. Like, they were designed. Their defense was designed not to give up much in the passing game, and OU took what people say it all the time, and sometimes it's cliche, but OU literally took what Oklahoma State was giving them tonight.
I don't remember the Sooners really going deep too often. There's one early in the second half by Hurts that was terrible. Like, I think it was double coverage, and it would have been picked off.
Those passes in the end zone. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but he had some of those kind of under duress passes into the end zone.
Yes, that Lamb almost had, but got knocked out. That was a really nice play. Yep.
So, how Baylor plays, we'll see. They obviously stand a lot of guys up on the line of scrimmage, try and confuse you, but from what I've seen so far, I think Oklahoma State has a better secondary than Baylor does.
The Harvey Pell guy, that was, by the way, what happened at the end of the football game?
I got it. It's a 10-second runoff, right? So you go from 48 to 38.
The clock was,
and the play clock's at 40.
Yeah.
And since since Gundy didn't take a timeout to stop the 10-second, done.
It was just game over.
Okay.
It was still really weird on the field.
Yeah, the game clock didn't get the message or something. I don't know. Did it just go straight to 0? Or
it
did
stayed at 38 forever.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was no play clock, of course, because the back judge had to keep the time during the entire second half.
Yeah, there was a minute where everybody was kind of wondering, like, what's going to happen for the post game? Because I guess Gallagher-Iba lost power, is why the clocks went out.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Well, it was a nice, convincing win for the Sooners.
It was the best performance of the year.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
On that stage against that opponent. Yeah, early in the year you had some good wins against lower level teams.
Texas was probably the most dominating defensive performance, but at the same time, it's like, what's your trade-off? 9 sacks or holding an outside Heisman Trophy candidate to 25 yards in the second half of your biggest game of the year? It was impressive.
Do you think
there was a lot to like.
Do you think they cost Chuba a trip to New York tonight?
Yes.
Really?
I do, because I think you're going to get Chase and Justin Fields from the Buckeyes.
I would agree.
And I don't think they'll do more than 4.
I would agree that
Hurts, Burrow, the Buckeyes.
He's not going, but I don't think he was going before that, because
if he got 2,000 yards in a game like this,
again, I've said this many times.
It's a sham of a award. Running backs aren't allowed to win that.
But I've said this many times.
Not non-Power 5.
Barry Sanders,
or Blue Blood. Was in 1988.
Was a Heisman Trophy candidate on a team that went 10-2. And their only 2 losses were to Nebraska and Oklahoma that were top 10 teams.
Yeah.
Like Chuba's team, you can say that it's the best player on the best team, but you've got to be a best team.
Can't lose 4 games.
You can't lose 4 games and have a Heisman Trophy finalist in this day and age. You just can't. I don't think you could in Barry Sanders' day. You could in Notre Dame in
Paul
the 40s.
Hornung.
Yeah.
Paul Hornung days.
And if you are, you better have like 2,500 yards. And literally win games for people.
Look at the history. If you go and look, and there's places on the internet you can find where you can see who finished what in the voting. all those guys, for the most part, except for Paul Horning, were on winning teams. Like Tommy McDonald, all those guys, they're on really good teams. So you have to be on a playoff contending team to win a Heisman anymore. Unless you're like, well, Lamar Jackson, Louisville was really good that year.
Yeah, but statistically, people always bring that up, like, oh, well, Lamar Jackson won at Louisville. It's like, go look at the numbers.
Well, go
and
watch
go
that
look
Clemson
at Lamar
game
Jackson
that year and tell me that wasn't the best player on the planet.
Sure, absolutely.
By the way, Lamar Jackson also is proving that he probably should have been the number 1 pick in the draft.
He's pretty damn good. Watch it. Baker might come after you.
No. He's got his own Jesus Tonys to deal with.
We're going to playoffs. We're back.
It's nice to be able to watch Baker Mayfield succeeding. The world is just brighter when Baker Mayfield is throwing for 347 and 3 TDs.
A lot more enjoyable than the other side of it.
Yeah.
They got a big game Sunday
Although
against
he and
Pittsburgh.
Kyler can never seem to get together and both have big days.
Tomorrow might be the day. The Cardinals play the Rams, don't they? The Rams are awful. They got a terrible quarterback with Jared Goff. So
we're only two weeks away from Baker versus Kyler.
Yeah, December 15th.
All right, well, we've got another week to go. We do have media coming up just as usual, so the unofficial 40 will be back again on Wednesday. It'll be back all the time, but you'll still have plenty of football to hear from us about and to talk about. So Sooners win it tonight, 34-16. They're 11-1 on the season, regular season over. Now it is time to play for the Big 12 championship, where, as they say, every team plays every team.
Every game matters.
Okay. I don't know. I guess they need to spend more money on advertising than Bob.
There used to be one true champion, but we know that wasn't always true back in that day. Now every game matters.
All right.
Oh, God. We're going to have to see Bob Bowlesby next weekend, aren't we?
Do it. Come on. You did it in the press box. Do not.
I don't know that I can do Bob Bowlesby on command. I've been kind of just it's a mishmash impression. I'll work on it some more before I unveil it on the pod.
Workshop it and show Josh. We'll show Josh on Wednesday.
That sounds good. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you guys, because it is now past 3:30 in the morning. Go home, get some sleep. I think I'm going to rewatch the game until I just can't keep my eyes open anymore. So thanks to Eddie. Thanks to Bob. Thanks to all you for listening to the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast. Don't forget, EskridgeLexus.com. Go check him out. Go give Ed a holler. He'll do you a great deal on a new Lexus. So thanks for listening. We'll see you guys after. There will be a Eskridge Lexus postgame pod after the Big 12 championship. Until then, we'll see you guys.